When you see entrees like this, you know you're gonna have a fine dining experience like no other in New Orleans. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Steve from Rockstar Eater coming to you with another rockin' episode. And I am out here in New Orleans, which is one of the biggest food cities in America, because I'm gonna be doing the ultimate Cajun and Creole food tour. Cajun and Creole cooking is the defining cuisine of New Orleans. And with so many restaurants and eateries around town, you might be asking, what are some really good spots that I must check out? Well, that's what I'm gonna help you with in today's episode, as I'm going to explore some of the best places that you can get Cajun and Creole food in New Orleans. So I encourage you, stick all the way to the end of this video, because I'm gonna show you a Cajun and Creole food tour like no other here in one of the most popular food cities in America. And also, if you're new to this channel, take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, because it posts these food and travel videos weekly you don't want to miss out on. So go ahead, do that right now. And with that being said, let's go to our first restaurant. The first stop is right across the street, this restaurant called Acme Oyster House. It is a business that's been around since 1910. They have a few locations around Louisiana, and they specialize in char-grilled oysters and raw oysters. In fact, it is one of the highest rated seafood restaurants in all of New Orleans, which sounds pretty good, right? So let's check it out. It's a pretty sizable restaurant. It's very reddish, the color in here. And they got your full-on bar, which is right over here. And then they have the kitchen, which is right over there. And then on this side is where they have the char-grilled oysters. Oh yeah, here are the special char-grilled oysters. So all that is the Romano cheese that's on top of it. So yes, these are fresh oysters that's grilling. This is their famous garlic butter sauce. Look at that. Yeah, so this would go in the bottom as layer number 1, and then the Romano cheese is layer number 2, and then afterwards, to top it off, this sauce once again. These are big oysters, so it does take a little time to cook, but once it gets brown and crispy around the edges, I think that means it's pretty much done. Oh yeah, definitely get the dozen. Look at that presentation. Oh, see, that's the additional layer I was talking about. More of that butter sauce, that gravy. I think it's pretty obvious the oysters is what you should get here, right? They have good raw oysters from what I heard. Char-grilled oysters, I'm gonna do a dozen of them. It's at market price today. And just to let you know, they have other Cajun foods on the menu. So if you don't want to get the oysters, there are a lot of good appetizers. See, you got the specialties like jambalaya, shrimp etouffee, even Poboys as well, the famous Louisiana sandwich. We got some fried platters along with your sides and desserts. There's a bar in this restaurant, so obviously they're gonna have a lot of stuff like cocktails, right? Yeah, along with your red and white wine. And this is it, their famous char-grilled oyster. So you can get them in half dozen, or you can get a dozen. Go all out and get the dozen. It's market price. So today, this whole thing costs $29.99, but you might want to call in to check in if you want to know the exact price of that day. Now, if you cannot get to Acme Oyster House and you want to sample a little bit of it, you can order some of the menu items on Gold Belly. So just go to the website so that you can have the food shipped to you. Some of the foods you cannot get on Gold Belly, such as this one. So this is one of the main reasons why you should make the trip out to an Acme Oyster House in New Orleans or the other locations they have around the state. Okay, first of all, I want to say that oyster is so fresh, it just melts in your mouth. And that really makes all the difference. And no complaints about everything else that's around it. Like the cheese is nice and smoky, salty, buttery too. It's like I'm just kind of scraping off the cheese just like that. Wow, this is so fun. Well, since there is a lot of this bread, maybe I'll be creative and put some of that oyster on top of it. Just like that. That's good. But you're really supposed to use this in order to get that butter. Good use of bread. I mean, what else are you supposed to use the bread for? Just don't eat it by itself, plain. Use it, dip it in the butter, put the oyster over it. Really make the best out of it. So yes, if you just get this one, you're good to go. But remember, they have a lot of other good Cajun foods on the menu too. I'm checking that out since I'm already here in New Orleans, right? And Poboys are also very popular at this restaurant. This, I heard, is a bestseller. Their fried peacemaker. So this has a combination of fried oysters and shrimp, which is seasoned to perfection with Tabasco-infused mayo. I mean, it's not a po' boy sandwich shop, but how bad can it be? I mean, we're here in New Orleans, right? The first thing I really taste is that Tabasco-infused mayo. So if you like your po' boy a little bit spicy, not terribly spicy, just a little bit, I think you're gonna like this one. And it's good. The baguette is nice and soft and kind of crisp too. The shrimp inside, just like the menu says, seasoned to perfection and perfectly crunchy. Yeah. Okay. This is my second time having po' boy on this trip. And there is this other side too, which has the fried oyster. So you see, you get shrimp and you get oysters in this one. That's why you should order it. I think if I had a choice between the shrimp or the oyster, I like the oysters. That's just me personally. I can't speak on your behalf, but if you want to try both of them, this order has both of them. You should get it. I don't think you're going to regret it. It's like a very solid, pretty classic po' boy. It's what you think of when you eat a po' boy sandwich. And the eating adventure does not stop. I also got the Acme Poopa, which is a French bread bowl that's filled with gumbo. Yeah, I gotta try the gumbo before I leave here, right? And there's also some rice in there. And this is something I'm trying for the first time on this trip. This is the seafood etouffee. They have a small size and they have a large size, but I decided to get the small. It's seasoned seafood in a buttery roux served over rice with crawfish, fried crawfish to be specific. I don't think I've ever seen a etouffee with fried crawfish inside. I know that there is regular crawfish and sometimes shrimp, but hey, let's try it. I heard it's good. Wow, that is so creamy. It almost tastes like the gravy that they use, like, you know, in the KFC, the mashed potatoes. I mean, something like along those lines. I can't really describe what it tastes like, but it definitely has a really good flavor. And with the rice, of course, it should be a very complete meal. This is definitely enough for one person, this small size. First ever time having it in Louisiana, and I like it. Oh yeah, taste of New Orleans right here. Now on to the gumbo. Can't forget about the gumbo, right? Yeah, for sure. The gumbo has a different flavor than the seafood etouffee. You can taste the spices in there. It's kind of bitter, also very earthy tasting. It's just something you have to experience for yourself, and I don't have too much experience in it. This is only one of very few times I've had gumbo in my life, but when you're in Louisiana, this is one of the things you need to try at least once, because you think of New Orleans, one of the foods that come to your mind is gumbo, right? That works too. So much carbs on here. So you got the rice and you got the bread. Wow. And of course, you cannot forget about dessert, right? The New Orleans bread pudding, which is New Orleans' most famous dessert. This is something you have to try when you come to this city, and it is my first time trying it today. Wow, that's pretty good. This bread pudding is kind of different than the ones I've had back home because I feel that it's more smoother and it melts in your mouth more, so it's not as bready as some of the other ones I've had. Not as thick too. It's perfect. This is my kind of bread pudding. I love the raisins inside of it. The syrup is nice and sweet. The char-grilled oysters, for sure, #1 item you have to get. And even some of their other stuff like the Poboys and the etouffee, loved it. So good. So come here, you can get like a full-on Cajun dining experience with the oysters, with everything else. I think you're gonna like it. And when you are in New Orleans, you gotta try the beignet, right? Beignets are those Louisiana-style donuts that's very popular in the city. There are a few different shops that specialize in this, but if you want to try one of the best ones in town, you have to try Cafe Beignet. There's a few different locations around New Orleans, but since there's one right across the street from me, might as well check out this one, right? Since this is a cafe, they have a lot of your coffee options. You could get like the basic coffee, small and large size, but then you can also get Cafe au lait, which is a specialty drink. So I'm gonna try that. Oh yeah, sounds good. And just to let you know that this cafe doesn't just sell the beignets, they have a really big menu, all these breakfast foods. They got sandwiches, specialties. Yeah, you can have like a whole restaurant dining experience here. This cafe has a pretty long line. It just shows how popular it is. So you can take it to go, or you can sit down and dine in. And they do get the food out fairly quickly. So this is the Cafe au lait, which is the specialty half coffee and half boiled milk or steamed milk, something like that. It's supposed to be sweet too. There's some sugar inside of it. It tastes exactly how it sounds. It tastes like coffee, but then it tastes like milk at the same time, like that dairy flavor. And it's not super sweet, just a little sweet, but I suppose you could sweeten it up a little bit more, right? You know, that's just totally your preference. So here are my beignets. Look at how big this is. I didn't expect this. This is like the size of a big croissant or something like that. So once again, it is a Louisiana-style donut. It has a lot of powdered sugar over it, and that's what makes it fun to eat. Yeah, so you can get all this for $4.75. That's actually quite reasonable. So yes, definitely get some other people to share this with. I mean, if you can eat the whole thing by yourself, then power to you. I feel this thing could be like a whole meal in of itself. You're definitely gonna have a powdered mustache once you bite into this. I like this a lot. Inside is very fluffy and spongy. And it's just slightly crispy on the top too. And then you got all that powdered sugar that adds the sweetness to it. It's a very messy dish, just letting you know. Powder's gonna get all over the table. It's probably gonna get all over the floor too. So if you see the powder there, that's what it is. They should really get the award for the biggest beignets in New Orleans. Do you guys know of a beignet that's bigger than this one? Drop that comment because I would love to know where I can get it. That is so good. This is the place to go. So yes, if you are looking for really good beignets around New Orleans, search out Cafe Beignet. They have at least 3 spots around New Orleans, so visit the one that's nearest you. You can find Cajun and Creole food pretty much all over New Orleans. A lot of it is very casual, but then there are some that are more upscale, which is the reason why I dressed up a little bit for this next occasion, which is going to be pretty exciting. The next restaurant I'm going to be eating at is this one called Commander's Palace. This is one of the oldest, most popular fine dining restaurants that you can find in all of New Orleans. They specialize in Haute Creole cuisine, which is upscale Creole food. Now this is something I definitely need to check out, especially since I'm here in New Orleans, so we're gonna do it. Commander's Palace has been here since 1893, which makes it over 130 years old. In fact, you'll find a lot of these really old restaurants in New Orleans. Like I said, it is one of the most critically acclaimed fine dining restaurants you'll find in New Orleans. They've won 7 James Beard Awards, along with other awards that mark it as one of the go-to spots for fine dining in New Orleans. Although I'm here for dinner, they do have a pretty awesome jazz brunch, and I heard that on Thursdays and Fridays they have 25-cent martinis. I don't drink martinis, but if you guys are into that, then this is one of the greatest bargains that you're ever gonna get in life. So their menu looks like it is this one long sheet, the dinner menu. So I'm not here for brunch. If you want to see that, go on their website to check it out. You see, they got appetizers, pretty nice, good appetizers, as well as their soups and salads. Then also their entrees, like the Pecan crusted goldfish. I heard so many things about, so I'm gonna get that. And they have like steak and pork chop. Maybe I'll try that pork chop today too. And if you guys want course meals, they do have them as well. See, for $118, you could get this chef's tasting menu, and then you can do wine pairing for an additional $59. Or you can do something like Chef Meg's 3-course offerings. You get those entrees plus your choice of dessert. And I heard the Creole bread pudding souffle is like so good here. Wow, this is a really big kitchen. It's much bigger than I thought. It's almost like a mini factory here. We got all these chefs cooking up some really great Creole food. And this is Creole food like no other that I'm experiencing on this entire trip. Fine dining, which is always good with me. My first one came out. Yes, my appetizer, shrimp and Taso Henkin. And this is a very popular appetizer here. So it's wild Louisiana white shrimp stuffed with the house-made Taso ham. So yes, there's meat inside. Pickled okra. Do you guys kind of see the okra on the side? Yes. Sweet red onions, 5 pepper jelly, and crystal hot sauce. So once again, since this is a fine dining restaurant, there's a little bit of a dress code. So remember that when you come here. It looks like it's a good restaurant for a lot of occasions. There's even a lot of groups and parties that come here. And all these rooms have different themes to it. They all have like these balloons as well. It's so festive here. Yeah, here in New Orleans, it's like everything is a festivity, right? That's why I'm so excited to try the food here as well. Award-winning. Wow. That shrimp is so nice and crunchy. Good cream sauce over it. And I do taste the ham too. It's smoky. I like it. But you know, this sauce is something that I don't think I've seen before. Look at that. It's like a glaze that goes over it. Very sticky. It's almost like their version of a sweet chili sauce. See, it even has okra in it too. I never had a dish like this before. This is quite an experience. And I suppose if you pair the pickled onions with the shrimp, it might taste even better. Oh yeah, you gotta definitely eat it with those onions. Not only does it have more crunchiness, but the sourness mixed with the sweet and spiciness of the sauce. This is good. Like I said, this is one of the most popular appetizers. So if you like shrimp, you should get it. It's a lot of the staff's favorite too. This one is called the Soup 111 on the menu. And I guess you can kind of assume why, because you get one of each soup. So it's like a tour of their famous soups. You can order these individually, so it comes in larger portions. But I want to taste a little bit of all the soups. So we got the turtle soup, which is this one. And their gumbo. This is, I think, my 3rd time having gumbo on this trip. And then the soup du jour, which is the cauliflower brie. How nice. I can tell it's been really pureed very well. It's like so creamy. Oh, I like that one. Okay, that really, you can taste the cheese of that. That's so good. I mean, not in an overpowering way, but you can really subtly taste it, as well as with the cauliflower flavor. Oh man, this is really good. I like it. So far, I can tell you got to get the Soup 111. Now, this is gumbo in an award-winning restaurant. Let's see if that makes any difference. Wow, that has such a good taste. I like this gumbo because the spices aren't too strong. It's very pleasant, so it doesn't like attack your tongue all at the same time. It's very creamy, of course. That's what gumbo is like. I like it. I think this might actually be my favorite gumbo out of all the ones I've had so far on this trip. But the turtle soup, this one is the one everybody comes to get. They've even won awards for the best turtle soup in New Orleans. Oh, yeah, that's pretty tasty too. Wow, it tastes a little bit different than the gumbo. And the turtle soup definitely has its own personality too. Just like the gumbo, it is creamy, and you have the bits of that turtle meat inside of it. I don't know exactly how to describe what it tastes like. I think it's kind of like eating shreds of chicken, but it doesn't taste bad. So don't be afraid to try it, guys, if you've never had it before. Coming to New Orleans was actually my first time having turtle soup in the other restaurant, the Court of Two Sisters. But trying it at this restaurant, you know it's going to be a winner. Get the soup 111. Try it all. I've never been so excited to eat soup in all my life than when I came here to this restaurant, and I'm pretty sure you will feel the same way too. Now here is one of the most popular entrees on the menu. This is the Pecan crusted Gulf fish. So we have the jumbo lump crab that's over spiced New Roads pecan crusted fish with roasted corn. Yeah, I see the corn, asparagus, some of that grilled kale, melted leeks, and whiskey spiked crushed corn cream. This all sounds very fancy. Now this is the dish I've been looking forward to all night because I heard so much about this pecan crusted Gulf fish. They don't use almonds, they use their locally grown pecans. It's been a while since I've had a pecan crusted fish. Actually, I don't remember if I've had it before, but I'm gonna remember for a lifetime that I had it here in Louisiana at this restaurant. So that's cream corn puree that's all around the side. It tastes just like cream corn because it's nice and sweet and creamy. But there is actual corn with this kale that's all around. I just like corn. It's awesome. I love it, love it. But I also heard that this lump crab is mind-blowing, and I'm gonna find out right now. Okay, even if this dish did not have the fish, but just had a whole bunch of this lump crab, almost like a crab cake, I would love it. I would end the night and be like, yeah, this is a fabulous, fabulous restaurant. But the Gulf fish itself is the main attraction, so of course, gotta think highly of this one, right? That fish is so thick. Very tender fish too. Wow, this is a good dish. Yeah, so when you order one of these, you're gonna have enough food for one dish. So don't think you have to get like 5 of them to get full. They actually give you a pretty decent portion because you think in a fine dining, everything is like so tiny and they rip you off. No, they actually feed you some pretty decent amount of food. And if you guys like a pork chop, a very good one, they have one called the Char Grill Jerk Spice Duroc Pork Chop. Double cut Duroc pork over braised collard greens with caramelized plantains, pickled sweet peppers, and spiced rum, spiced Creole, Sella hot sauce, coconut cream. All these ingredients, wow, I want to see how they taste like together. Whoa, that coconut cream sauce with the hot sauce blend, that's mind-blowing. You know what it tastes like? It kind of tastes like Indian curry that's a little bit sweet. Oh, that's so good. I can already tell. I'm gonna really like this dish, and I already like the sauce so much. Oh man. But now here comes the main attraction, the pork chop. Wow, it's so tender. I rarely eat pork chops that is this thick. It's almost like a tomahawk steak, a mini version of it. Duroc is supposed to be a very high quality pork. So when you see something like that on the menu, especially in a fine dining restaurant, you have every reason to be excited. Because I don't eat pork chops that often when I go to restaurants, but I heard good things about it here. Open-minded, so might as well try it. Collard greens, especially with that coconut gravy all around the bottom. That thing makes anything taste good on this platter. Maybe I'll pair that pork chop with some of those crunchy plantains. You're not going to find too many pork chop dishes like this back in LA. And when I say LA, I don't mean Louisiana. This is very exclusive to New Orleans at this restaurant. So yeah, if you're thinking of getting the pork chop, get it, because it's one of the best I've had, actually. All right, so this is the dessert, the famous Creole bread pudding souffle, the queen of Creole desserts. Yes, look at that bread pudding. It's all puffy. Okay, and there's supposed to be some sauce that goes on top of it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that dome, it breaks so easily. It's so delicate. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, yeah. Woo. All right. They got some pretty nice drinks here as well. Peach basil cooler. This isn't an alcoholic drink, but it sounds pretty cool. Let me see what it tastes like. Peach flavored. Almost kind of, it's like peach mixed with 7-Up or Sprite. I like that. Anything peach flavors, fine with me. And I heard incredible stories about this one. I am so excited to try this souffle. It's so light. Wow, I did not expect that. That whole thing just like evaporates in your mouth. It turns into liquid so quickly. That bread is really deep in there, so you gotta dig, almost like digging treasure. Wow, I haven't been this ecstatic about a dessert in a long time. Yeah, this dessert should definitely win an award, like an Oscar award or something. So yes, when you are in New Orleans, or perhaps if you live close by and you still have not come to this legendary restaurant, come here. It's really good. I'm telling you, come here for a special occasion, or even come during their jazz brunch where they have the 25-cent martinis if you love the drink. Then you can get that really cheap. This is really one of the best dining experiences, fine dining I've had. Well, there you have it with some of the best foods around New Orleans, everything from casual dining to fine dining, and even some nice beignets in between. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I'll see you all in the next food adventure.